The summer of 2025 began with promise across the Midwest. Tractors hummed through fields and farmers in Iowa, Nebraska, and Illinois admired their tall green corn. This crop was more than food. It was a legacy, a lifeline for families in small towns. Evenings were spent on porches, kids chasing fireflies, adults discussing steady corn prices and dreams of new equipment. The world was hungry for American grain, and the heartland was ready to deliver. At the co-op, optimism filled the air as contracts were signed and grain elevators prepared for a bountiful harvest. Everyone played their part in a system that had connected rural America to the world for generations. The rhythm of the seasons matched the rhythm of commerce, and hope was woven into daily life. Farmers believed in the American promise: work hard, play by the rules, and you'll get ahead. That summer, the fields were full of dreams as much as corn. No one saw the storm brewing, not in the sky, but in distant halls of power. The heartland was about to face a challenge unlike any drought or flood. The golden hope of summer was about to be tested. The news hit like lightning. Tariffs on major trading partners, announced from Washington. The America First policy aimed to protect industry, but for farmers, it felt like a blow. Retaliatory tariffs targeted American corn and soybeans, threatening the markets farmers depended on. Corn prices crashed overnight. Futures once promising now spelled disaster. John, an Iowa farmer, watched his family's future evaporate on a screen. We were told to feed the world. Now it feels like the world doesn't want what we have. Across the plains, confusion turned to dread. Generations of trust in global markets were shaken. This wasn't a natural disaster, it was political, and it cut deep. Farmers had weathered droughts and floods, always believing someone would buy their crop. Now the rules had changed, and the safety net was gone. The sense of betrayal was palpable. The golden hope of summer quickly turned to fear. The heartland braced for impact, uncertain what would come next. The trade war had begun. The first cracks appeared at the ports. Cargo ships, once eager for American grain, were turned away. Tariffs made U.S. corn too expensive. Contracts were canceled, ships sat idle. Back home, grain elevators overflowed and trucks were turned away. Farmers piled corn in sheds and fields, harvests with no buyers. The financial strain was immediate. Loans couldn't be repaid, banks grew anxious. Small towns felt the ripple: no new trucks, empty diners, struggling main streets. Families faced sleepless nights, arguing over bills and futures. "We supported him," said a Nebraska farmer's wife, "but now it feels like we're forgotten." The crisis was no longer abstract. It was mountains of unsold corn and mounting debt. The hope that bloomed with the corn was now wilting on the stalk. The heartland's stability was unraveling. The system that fed the world was breaking down. The long wait for relief had just begun. The global grain market is like a river. Block one source, it finds another. As American corn piled up, Brazil, Argentina, and Ukraine ramped up production. New trade routes formed quickly. Buyers couldn't wait for U.S. politics to settle. Investments flowed into South American and Eastern European infrastructure. Decades-old relationships were replaced in months. Some U.S. farmers clung to hope, believing the world would return. "Our corn is the best," said a Kansas farmer. "They'll come back." But many saw the truth. Trust, once lost, is hard to regain. "You can't just turn off the tap and expect the water to be there," said an Illinois farmer. The world had moved on, and America watched from the sidelines. 50 years of market building lost in a single season. The heartland felt abandoned, its place in the world uncertain. The cost of the trade war was becoming painfully clear. Washington responded with a massive bailout for farmers, billions in direct payments. For many, it felt like a handout, not a solution. "I don't want a subsidy," said one farmer. "I want my customers back." The aid divided communities, some grateful, others resentful. The policy meant to strengthen America had made its farmers dependent on government checks. As the year ended, Brazil and Argentina celebrated record exports. The world had learned to live without American corn. The U.S. was left with surplus grain, low prices, and shaken farmers. Could America regain its place? Experts doubted it. The lesson was harsh. Trust is fragile and markets move on. Over the silent plains, a question lingered. Was it worth it? The corn crisis of 2025 was a warning. What's broken may never be whole again.